Welcome to Phil and Ted's Sexy Boomer Show. I'm Ted Bonnet.
I'm Phil Proctor. We're still here.
Hi, Phil.
Oh, my God. We're still on the air.
Get a little closer.
We're not being...
there
to you? Or
yeah,
to the microphone?
Come on over here, big boy.
There, do you like that?
Oh, that's nice.
I'm blowing your ear.
Let's do some commercial radio.
Oh, boy.
I was just up in San Francisco for the weekend for the Chinese New Year.
You moved the letters of San Francisco around to see a friend's anus. Did you know that?
No. It hadn't occurred to me.
Just a little fun fact.
I did find something else. We took Lombard, the crookedest street in America, which officially is no longer the most crooked street in America. It's now 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue.
Yes.
Hello.
You beat me to it.
We're here all hour. Man.
Try the veal.
Yeah. As we've been talking about over the last few weeks about what the hell's going on in Washington and what are we going to do about it.
What can we do to resist it?
That's why we had Judy Gumbo on to talk about how they resisted in the 60s and succeeded in a lot of ways.
Yeah, the same with the Firesign Theater.
Shut down the Vietnam War.
Yeah, we broke the president, too.
Yeah.
You know?
Thanks to Citizens United and the Roberts Court.
Citizens Untied.
The U.S. government has been basically usurped by big money. And what greater evidence of that is Elon Musk purchasing the presidency to someone willing to sell it for $250 million. That's
cheap
what
at half the price.
Yeah. So now we have a completely disinterested president who is barely keeping it together.
Yep, very distracted.
Just allowing anyone who's willing to pay him off to basically corrupt the government.
Over the government.
And the Republican Party has been completely taken over by big money as well. You don't hear a peep from them.
Oligarchs.
Yeah. And the Democratic Party, whatever.
Oh,
so right now,
strangely silent.
If you don't have a congressional branch to keep checks and balances as the Constitution was intended, all we have is the judicial branch to try to stop things. But that's not the fix, because we just found out that a federal judge in Washington has declined to grant a request by 14 state attorneys general to temporarily bar Elon Musk and his associates from accessing data at 7 federal agencies and moving forward with their efforts to slash the federal workforce. The judge said the states had shown no specific examples of how the work of Mr. Musk's so-called Department of Government Efficiency could cause...
I thought it was a Department of Government Evisceration.
Well, it is.
They're gutting it.
This judge actually had the temerity to say he didn't see any reason why the state's argument that it will cause irreparable harm has any merit.
Oh, good.
So what's the answer when that happens? You have to go back to the Constitution that as a citizen, you not only have the right, but you have the responsibility to protest peacefully. I think it's only the beginning of the protest movement that's going to become massive as this outrage continues.
Welcome. Our guest today,
Hunter Dunn.
Hunter Dunn, young man. He's the youngest guest we've had on the Boomer Show.
That's right. And you are a senior at Pepperdine College. But what's important is that you are very politically active. And what we've been watching on the news the last few days are street protests starting all over the country. There is a whole movement here in Southern California. The banner on which most of these organizations are running is the FiftyFifty.One. That's FiftyFifty.One spelled out. Hunter, welcome to the show.
Hi, y'all. I'm Hunter. Yes, and I am part of FiftyFifty.One, specifically FiftyFifty.One SoCal, which is the local movement for the national movement.
Okay.
It stands for 50 protests, 50 states, 1 movement. Originally, it was 50 states, 50 protests, 1 day, but now it's like 100-plus protests, every state and U.S. territory, and way more than 1 day. It's the next 2 or 4 years or however long it takes to take our country back.
Okay.
Good for you.
Okay.
Now, yesterday, you had a big rally in North Hollywood. Tell us about that.
Yeah. We had over 2,000 people at its peak come and march in North Hollywood against executive overreach and the Project 2025 agenda. It was part of a nationwide America Has No King's Day, also known as Not My King's Day and occasionally Not My President's Day, although we're trying to be more patriotic than that because, we believe that we are the real patriots because we believe in what makes America actually great, which is our diversity, our innovation, and our democracy.
Hear, hear.
So nationwide, in D.C., in every state capital, in many major city hubs as well, like, New York City, L.A., San Jose, San Fran. There was, at least 7 I'm aware of in California alone. We had 2,000 people at NoHo. We had
Long Beach had a good showing yesterday.
Yeah, I have some friends from high school that were at the Long Beach protest, and that was an amazing showing in a, less blue area than Los Angeles, at least, because that was a bunch of Orange
Are
County.
they basically young people, or are you getting old guys
What kind of
like
people
us?
are out there on the streets marching now?
We had kids as young as like 3 or 4, and we had people in their 90s.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
What'd you say at this point early on, the core of this movement?
Yeah, I would say the average person coming out there is like late Gen Z, early to mid millennial range. So a lot of those early 20s through mid 30s.
This is encouraging.
Yes, it is.
Because people like to think that the younger folks have been somewhat stunted by the social media and divisiveness and a lack of organic communication. COVID, really desocialized a lot of people.
It really has.
So you're really working against a big disadvantage.
Yeah, as you guys said, like the manufactured consent is a big problem for us, the Chomsky term. We have media algorithms that, whether for just profit reasons or for more malicious reasons, are actively trying to pull people my age, especially white guys, far deep into very toxic and harmful far-right ideologies. And in addition to that, we have just large-scale encouragement of apathy. Both sides are the same. The world's going to end soon anyways.
Right.
Now, climate change is quite possibly the major issue of our time, but we need a democracy to actually be able to fight that.
Oh, I think it is the biggest problem you face is
Not to
climate
mention
change.
bird flu.
Yep.
These young folks, obviously they're angry and frustrated, but do they think they're going to make positive
do they think
change?
they can actually make a change in things?
Yeah, I mean, I've been seeing ever since, November when Trump was elected, and especially since the flurry of executive orders that were basically over 2/3 of them directly mirroring Heritage Foundation material.
Correct.
It's kind of lit a fire under plenty of people, especially my age. Like even at a Pepperdine, which is a school I go to, which is a more conservative institution, for a college at least, we have a large diversity of political views there, which is actually really cool sometimes. People are upset. People are protesting. People are looking for ways to make a difference. But a lot of them don't know how to. Like, I'll see social media posts from people complaining about what's going on, and they don't know what to do next. Because plenty of these people don't have organizing experience because they've been encouraged their entire lives to be apathetic, to care only about themselves or about their family. Very, individualistic mindsets.
Doom scrolling.
Yep. On one end, it's very like doom scrolly, very do nothing, and on the other hand, it's like you got to get yours because things are getting worse, and you need to get out ahead. Like there is a competitive mindset.
Oh, the eat or be eaten. That was sort of the Reagan
Yes.
doctrine.
Yeah, it's like social Darwinism writ large.
The Reagan doctrine is what really started all this. And that's what's so intimidating about it, because some very moneyed ideologues have been planting seeds for 40 years, including like the Koch brothers sponsoring curriculum at major universities in return for right-wing ideology embedded into the curriculum, even at Ivy League schools. I think only one school rejected it. I think it was maybe Yale.
Bula Bula.
I forget what it was, but so many universities have taken this dirty money. Pepperdine, for a passive observer, has always been regarded as a conservative college. Ken Starr running the law school, as you mentioned. It's really refreshing to hear that there actually is a diversity of viewpoints even in a place like Pepperdine.
Yeah, the first-rate faculty really helps with that. I can't speak too much to the administration, but I know I've had amazing mentorship, and many students have as well, which helps counteract a lot of the negative influence from, say, big money donations.
And what is your goal from school? What are you said that you're into journalism.
Yeah, I'm a student journalist for the Pepperdine Graphic, which is a great paper and online resource, which you should totally check out.
How do we do it?
It's pepperdinegraphic.com, or just Google Pep Graphic. It's on Instagram. It's on Twitter. It's really anywhere you find your news. But I'm a political science major. I'm finishing up a political philosophy thesis for an honors program about post-liberalism, which is sort of the muck that our country has found itself in right now.
Elaborate.
Yeah. So post-liberalism is a word. It used to be a theological term, but right now what matters is that it refers to people who believe that modern Western society is failing because of democracy. So they need to move beyond liberalism, beyond liberal capital, into further right-wing ideologies. So some of their critiques make a lot of sense, right? The profit motive has been great in some ways, innovation, creating the TV, creating washing machines, creating like energy plants that revolutionize things, raising literacy standards, raising standard of life. But there's an issue with sort of the neoliberal, just kind of like vibe we're in right now, which is sort of, pushing people in the 1% higher and higher and higher relative to everyone else, and everyone else is falling
neoliberalism
behind.
in a way is promoting the status quo, which
Yes.
is not a long-term solution.
Absolutely.
This is called late-stage capitalism.
Yeah, that's a perfect term for it. These people are against late-stage capitalism, but from the right instead of the left. So their critiques, they think the problem is with democracy more than the problem is with capitalism. Not all these guys are capitalist, but some of them are. And what they want is to sort of go back. They're reactionary. They want to go back to the 50s or even earlier, to even before the Enlightenment, much further than before the 19th Amendment, before civil rights.
Pre-New Deal.
Yeah. You have Doug Wilson as a famous one. He's a preacher at the churches that Pete Hegseth, our current defense secretary, goes to.
Oh, boy.
And this guy has pamphlets out there about how slavery was good.
Yeah.
Even Trump was talking about
Good
the good
job
old days of the
opportunities.
Gilded Age.
Yep. You have all sorts of this. You have Peter Thiel saying democracy and freedom are incompatible, and saying that he claims he's a libertarian, which is weird because I don't know how you can be a libertarian and not believe in democracy. And he says that women's rights have been a problem for libertarianism.
Libertarianism, to me, is the biggest cop-out as Christianity is these days in terms of the Republican Jesus.
Yeah. Johnny Cash's cover, Personal Jesus, has been playing in my head 24/7 when I do my research here.
Yeah. The issues that your generation face, for example, climate change, and then there's climate change. And then there's the rise of autocracies. What are there? 30 democracies left that are healthy in this in the global stage at this point. Without the U.S. democracy as a bulwark to that, this could be a very, very dark age we're entering at a time where we can't afford to dilly-dally because of what's happening to the climate. That is so daunting a thought for your generation to feel. One would think that these issues would transcend conservatism and liberalism. Do you see a way forward for your generation to unite?
Yeah. The climate anxiety is like a big one.
Sure.
We were doing studies. One of my friends was doing a study at Pepperdine. And it didn't matter if you were left or right. Climate anxiety was like a top issue, like the climate change. Like, I have friends who believe some of the most conservative things you could possibly believe.
Really?
And I'll see them out there holding flyers about how we need to do things to improve the climate.
Common ground.
Yeah, stewardship is it's like a Christian term to refer to taking care of the environment because there's a creator and he made it and we're in his image. But the point being is it's our responsibility to take care of it because it's our duty.
Yeah.
Yep.
So even if you're conservative, even if you believe in hierarchy,
it's an American Indian indigenous. One of the basis of their whole philosophies is being caretakers of the earth.
Or the 7-generation concept, that every decision they make is based on how it will affect seven generations down.
That's right.
Where we're in a society where all we think about is quarterly earnings.
Yes.
And our news cycle has been obliterated into a 3-day, at best, cycle. And they understand that, as Bannon said, flooding the zone, overwhelm people.
Blitzkrieg.
And the Blitzkrieg's been very successful. Trump is saying outrageously stupid things.
Well, wait a minute. This is a reasonable statement he made. He who saves his country does not violate any law. Makes good sense.
I think I recognize that quote. A lot of people have been saying Napoleon, but there's two things that come to mind first. One of them is the special executive powers from famous, maybe not famous movie, Revenge of the Sith. We have Chancellor Palpatine. He takes emergency powers to protect the nation, and by the nation I mean the Republic, against enemies inside and outside. The enemies inside being the Jedi, a group of people who are different from others, who they see as a threat, and the enemies outside, which are the separatists, a fake movement made by the country to have an enemy so they can get power in the first place.
Oh, boy.
And it's almost like George Lucas was quoting someone. Oh, wait, he was. When Anakin Skywalker says, "If you're not with me, you're my enemy," he's quoting Carl Schmitt, Nazi jurist, who wrote Political Theology, wherein he talks about the importance of having a supreme executive or a sovereign who can go above the law, because he is the actual law, and defend the, in scare quotes, true people from the enemy.
Well, George W. Bush said those same things, if you're with us or you're against us.
Yep.
In the wake of 9/11.
Dick Cheney, unitary executive theory. And now Adrian Vermeule, I believe Harvard law professor. Don't quote me on that. But Adrian Vermeule wrote Beyond Originalism, arguing that conservatives should abandon originalism for common good constitutionalism. Read Incredibly Evil Ideas. Where the point is that originalism doesn't matter anymore. It's what they can do to promote what they see as the public good,
so
regardless of who says.
this is common sense, which the Orange
Don't go
tyrant
there.
talks about.
I think you guys are right when we talk about how most people are upset, are angry, know something's wrong, but they don't have the vocabulary for it.
Absolutely right.
There was a comedian, I don't remember who it was, who was talking about this. Like, people on the right know there's a problem, and they're falling for the loudest person who is saying the first thing that this is wrong. First one telling them what they want to hear, that things are wrong and that we can fix it. But they don't understand what is actually wrong because education's been defunded. And
there are no simple answers.
Yes.
It's not like throwing candy or paper towels like Trump likes to do.
Yeah. And that's what we're trying to do here at 5051. We're trying to show people that we agree, the left agrees, there is a major problem. We want to help fix it. But our ideas actually work. And theirs are making your life worse right now.
But again, when you're dealing with a kleptocracy and just the most naked corruption in the history of this republic, and I'm no historian, but I'd like to see anybody that's been more blatant than this felon.
I think that's the thing that's so outrageous about it.
Doesn't that aspect also unify people on both sides of the political spectrum?
Yeah. I mean, you're seeing larger and larger and larger protests against what Trump is doing, even amongst former Trump voters. There was a post I saw the other day from a federal worker who got fired, a probationary employee, which means new employee, doesn't mean on probation.
No, someone who, and it was also who's being trained, and is ready to.
Oh, the money we're throwing out the window by firing FAA people.
Oh, please.
Planes are falling out of the sky for a reason, folks.
Yeah. They've been short-staffed all along, even in Social Security. I talked to somebody in Social Security last week, and she said that the big changes haven't hit them yet because they're afraid of annoying the old, the boomers, and they'll really get opposition quickly. But they said, we've been understaffed, and this isn't a Trump thing. This is Biden. This is the whole system has been underfunding these places. Now they want to gut the IRS because there'll be no enforcement of the theft that's occurring in the wealth class. Where do you see this going as a protest movement? Because if we do do you agree with the idea that the only answer is public protest?
Well, I think protests are a big part of it. But it's not protesting for protesting's sake. Protest is not the end, it's the means. The end is, getting our democracy back. It is in 2026 and 2028, winning elections. It is, the Democratic Party has plenty of issues, but they are indisputably the lesser of two evils, and we got to choose between those two. So what we need to do is we need to get young people and people of all ages out in the streets, or if we can't do that, get them blasted with information on social media, Reddit, Discord, Blue Sky, X, Instagram, Facebook, whatever, even MySpace if that's still up, I don't know, and show them that it's cool to be against Trump and it's important for them to be against Trump, and getting them out there so we can stuff the ballot box, fairly and ethically with millions upon millions of votes and just kick the GOP out of office.
You're listening to Phil and Ted's Sexy Boomer Show. Our special guest today, Hunter Dunn, a senior at Pepperdine College and an activist who is working with the organization 5051, the first people to really organize in any great number protests against what's happening in Washington with the Trump regime right now. Why do you think Trump got elected a second time? Was it because younger people grew up in a Trump era and so his baseline was normalized?
Well, in political science, there's a lot of theories about why people vote the way that they do. Economy is one thing, but when you look at the actual metrics, the economy was doing well. Maybe not for the people who were voting, but, the GDP was going up, line go up, so therefore that must be good, right? No, that's not the problem. The problem was people were unhappy with the status quo. And Trump, who is terrible and is part of the status quo, seems like he's the anti-status quo vote.
Yeah.
There are people who voted for Bernie in the Democratic primaries in 2016 and then voted for Trump in the 2016 general election.
Bernie was dismissed and thrown out by the DNC to get Hillary in because he was, I guess Bernie was just a little
Too socialist.
Yeah, a little too socialist for the Democrats.
Little left.
And boy, did we pay the price for that.
Yep.
People want populism. They want a change to the status quo that is hurting them because they know something's wrong and they don't have the vocabulary to understand why
Yeah,
things are going
but
wrong.
basically what you're talking about, though, is a populist revolt, right?
How do you do it?
Yeah, well, there's always two ways for this to go. There's a Martin Luther King and there's a Malcolm X. And I think most people would prefer Martin Luther King. Obviously, that's not me. That's not anyone I know. I don't know who that is. But if we can't, there's a quote from Moneyball, right? We can't replace this guy, but we can replace him in the aggregate. So, we may not have one leader. We may not have a unified person in the Democratic Party saying this isn't right. I mean, we have Bernie, we have AOC, we have people, but the apparatus isn't behind them right now.
But we've got
The Democrats have a pretty good bench.
Well, we have the Doge. I don't know why you guys are not. The Doge of Venice, was the highest role of authority within the Republic of Venice and lasted for 1,000 years. The word Doge comes from the Latin dux, meaning leader, and the Venetian Italian for duke. So we have a leader. He's a duke. He's a respected oligarch. He's the ruling class, right?
Duke of Madness.
And he is looking to find an enormous frog in the government, from what I understand. Oh no, fraud. I'm sorry.
You could say, what channel are you watching?
Enormous fraud. A cartoon channel.
Oh, okay.
Of course, I'm watching reruns of the Rugrats.
Oh, I get
So
Yeah, sure.
A little before my time.
I've been doing a little background research on how fascism came to power pre-World War II. My grandmother lived in Berlin, and she went through World War I and II.
Wow.
And I used to ask her when I was a kid, how did
this happen?
How did people vote for Hitler? And she said, well, he promised them jobs because the economy was terrible following the bad deal of World War I.
Inflation was out
and
of
he
hand.
promised all the mothers that he would get good-paying jobs for his son. He just didn't mention what the job was.
Yeah, or what kind of color the uniform was.
But the parallels of how Mussolini and Hitler came to power with the Trump, you realize it's a playbook. And that's a pretty frightening statement to even consider.
Project 2025.
People are going to be marching. I think you're going to see a cross-section of a forgotten America. I think you have a lot of opportunity here with your movement to get unprecedented numbers. And that gives Republicans an out.
How is public media helpful to you? And, and how is the word getting out? And what kind of a network are you building?
Yeah, so in my free time, I traced where this started from, right? 5051, because, everything begins with, and some guy had an idea, or occasionally it's an apple fell off a tree and hit someone. But, there's an idea somewhere down the line. And literally, it was just a normal person, I think it was a girl, who I'm not going to say her name because she's a private citizen, said, we need to get people, left, right, and center, out there and protesting Trump. And a bunch of people on, I believe it was a social media platform, Reddit, were like, yeah. And it just slowly spread over the course of like a week. It went from, 5 people to, I believe there's over 100,000 now, like 2 or 3 weeks later.
That's great.
On Reddit alone. And then there's Instagram, there's people I know from my hometown on Facebook posting about it. And I didn't tell them. I don't know how they found out. I don't know how it got to Facebook. On X, on Blue Sky. And I'm slowly seeing more and more flyers just everywhere I'm driving down. Like, I know one of my friends was putting up flyers in NoHo, and bam, we went from 1,000 people at our first protest in LA City Hall to 2,000 people in NoHo.
And these are early days.
Yes. This was at 12th, and it was on a weekday. President's Day is a holiday, but most people didn't have it off. I didn't have it off. I drove straight from class.
Right.
How do people who are listening who want to be plugged in, whether or not they're ready to protest or not, but just want to be plugged into this
to the
movement, what are the best ways to subscribe so they get alerts, that kind of thing?
Yeah. I'm very big on doing what you can do. Not everyone can protest, but if you can protest, we want you to do that. Not everyone can post on social media, but if you can post on social media, we want you to do that. We have, there's the national movement, which you just Google 5051, you will find it. On Instagram, we're 5051_SoCal, which is the same thing on TikTok. On Reddit, I think it's 5051-SoCal. No, that's Blue Sky. But either way, you can find us pretty easily. 5051 and SoCal will get you there. We have Discord. We got Signal, which can't talk too much about. We got basically
you can't
every
talk about
platform.
Signal?
Yeah.
Oh.
It's encrypted.
Sorry.
Which also, by the way, Operation Security Tip. If you guys haven't seen those videos by former, I think it was Weather Underground protesters talking on a couple of YouTube videos recently, which was really cool. Nice to see some older generation, younger generation solidarity.
That's right, yeah.
And they're talking all about Operation Security. Here at 5051, my face is out there. I interviewed with ABC7. They know who I am.
Right.
By the way, is it 5051?
No,
or
it's
is it
5051,
okay,
all spelled
is
out.
It's not numerical, but in letters?
Either way will get you there, but it's 50501.
Okay.
Or the website I had was spelled out 5050.one.
Yep, we have it both ways because we know someone's going to get it wrong, so might as well have it both ways.
Yeah.
What about Hegseth, the defense secretary, under oath during his confirmation hearings, refusing to say under oath that he would resist an order from Trump to shoot protesters in the legs?
No, he was going to aim for the heart.
Because Trump had said that in his first term when he dragged Milley out there for that horrible protest outside.
Holding the Bible upside down.
Did you see it smoking? It was smoking,
yeah,
too.
it was smoking.
But he was saying, can't you just shoot him in the legs?
Yeah.
And Hegseth refused to take a moral stand on that, saying, of course I wouldn't do that. He wouldn't do that. He wouldn't say that.
Right.
That didn't shock me at all. You know what did shock me? Tulsi Gabbard, the new head of our national intelligence, is basically confirmed to be a Russian asset.
Yes.
Of course.
We handed our own sovereign national intelligence to our biggest rival and maybe the worst country on planet Earth, although there's a lot of countries in that conversation. They have our information now. Or if they don't, they'll have it soon. Tulsi is an apologist for, I think it was for Assad.
Assad, yes.
Yep.
Be a nice guy, he said. Nice guy.
Yeah, and she definitely wasn't paid off for that one by the Kremlin. That's definitely not what happened.
Putin plays the long game in terms of assets. And if you look at it, there's a very clear paper trail and money trail to see how Trump could have been compromised. Or he just sells to the highest bidder. He blatantly offered the oil companies anything they wanted for $1 billion in cash. There was a money trail in terms of Trump Tower. The Trump Soho Tower in New York was actually an overt joint ownership of Trump and oligarchs from Russia.
Which country did Trump get the most money from during his first term?
Saudi Arabia?
Nope.
Brooklyn?
China.
$5.5 million over the first 4 years that we know of. There's probably more. And it was 20 foreign governments in total. That's a violation of, I believe, the Foreign Emoluments Clause in the Constitution.
Kash Patel.
Yep.
Cash, emphasis on
Kash
cash.
Patel, our incoming FBI director, he took between $1 and $5 million from the Chinese government. Musk, he's trying to woo China because they pose a real threat to his automotive industry standing. He sees a one world financial government. And I don't know why the Christians aren't up in arms about this.
Yeah.
Yeah. You guys go to Amazon, go to Whole Foods. You can scan your palm. Who's Jeff Bezos working with again? And what's that thing in the Bible about the mark of the beast on the hand? The microchip? I'm just saying, don't trust Musk.
Well, how do you account for the Christian nationalism movement?
Well, again, post-liberalism is one term. Another term is national conservatism. It's this idea that the West is committing, suicide. Suicide of the West. It's an Oswald Spengler book at first. Mm-hmm. The big one is The Camp of the Saints. It's a French book by a person named, I believe, John Raspail. And that starts neo-nationalism. And the way that you get that is that the West is falling because of enemies inside and outside, the outside enemies being unwashed masses from the third world, basically.
Yeah.
And the government...
The takers. I've had Christians tell me that. The takers.
Yep.
The takers.
And the government is doing it on purpose, according to these people. It is that is neo-nationalism. The West is falling to immigrants, and the government is doing it on purpose. It's called white genocide conspiracy theory.
Yeah, the West is falling to ignorance.
That's what we're actually falling to.
But don't they want to cross church and state divide?
Well, they don't want Christianity to become a national religion. They want their own dark version of Christianity.
Oh, the Republican Jesus.
Yeah.
The Republican Jesus.
Second Amendment Jesus, white Jesus, Jesus with a gun, Jesus with Jesus who tells you to love your neighbor, but that some people are more neighbors than others.
Hunter Dunn is our guest, who is a senior at Pepperdine College, and one of the smartest guests we've ever had. I mean, it's just the fact of just rolling off. I mean, it's just that.
You guys flatter me.
Which is but frankly, it's very exciting because most of the people that we have on the show can't remember their name.
No, yeah, it's not Sexy Boomer for nothing. There's another website called events.politicalrevolution, but it's events.pol-rev as politicalrevolution.com. That's another place to find out about upcoming demonstrations. That's an offshoot of Bernie Sanders' organization, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a bunch of former Bernie staffers, and they saw what we were doing even before our first protest, and were like, we want to help. No Voice Unheard, which I believe is just novoiceunheard.com, was another one. And since the protest, we've had a lot more people who have reached out as well. Indivisible, like 3 or 4 of them came out to us in the last protest and were like, we want to work with you. A good group to work from, which you can work with even at home, is Smart Elections. I had a call with them a couple weeks ago about potentially helping them with research, because I do a lot of writing for college, so might as well do more, right?
Yeah, sure.
But they're looking for people to do anything to help make our elections safer for people who have trouble voting because of voter suppression.
Yeah. More and more of a problem, isn't it?
Now, you are the media and public relations lead for the Southern California regional area of 5051. How structured is the organization at this point, and do you need people who want to get involved? Do you need support, help?
Yeah. So we have plenty of people who have reached out and wanted to help us in different ways. Like, we have tons of organizers. We have people who do press, logistics, media. We have people even coming from like big ticket companies like Microsoft, or even people who work for Discord directly, who are helping us with, whether it's social media communications, on the ground stuff, everything. We even have a couple medics, so that we need a lot more of those, because protests, heat exhaustion is a real problem, even in the winter, or at least exhaustion is a problem. But we're always looking for more people, and we do need more people.
How many people are involved? Not an exact count, but would you say you're in the hundreds right now, or the thousands, or the tens?
Nationwide?
Yeah.
We had 25,000 people out and protesting on the 5th. We don't have numbers yet in total we're still counting for yesterday.
What's the plan going forward? How are you going to increase this and keep it going?
Yeah. So I think that there's really 2 things we need to emphasize. One of them is working with more and more groups that are established with credibility in specific areas, like groups that help with immigration reform, or specifically like defending the legal rights of all people, like, ACLU, National Lawyers Guild, any organization that is trying to help women, minorities, people of color, LGBTQ plus people, constitutional rights. The most effective Trump resistance right now hasn't actually been the protests. It's been in the courts with lawyers. Those guys are doing great work.
Yep.
And those people need more funding. They need more volunteers. They need more workers. They need more lawsuits.
But also they need to get educated too. And, and you're an excellent example of somebody who's walking your talk, in that you are studying for this. What better reason to become a lawyer than to have the tool set? I'm not saying you're becoming a lawyer, but I mean, for people who are thinking about law school but don't want to be in that game. But I have friends that have law degrees that have never practiced a day of law in their lives, but they have the tool set and the knowledge set to be able to make change, to know how to work the system. So education is really important right now.
Yep. And if you can't be a lawyer, sorry, I got caught my words there. You can't be a lawyer, you can be a litigant, you can sue. And you can get one of those lawyers to help you, because they need people with standing, which are people who have a case to be made against Trump or specific government action. They need people to represent and be the person who is, this is hurting me, and go to the court and say that.
Yeah, now you see what you're talking about also is personalization of everything that's happening right now. One of the grave problems with social media is that it's fragmented us.
Yeah. It's divide and conquer.
Divide and conquer, but it also gives one the illusion of power when one doesn't really necessarily have any.
Yep.
But when you are in a mob, when you're together with like-minded people, not only might you get laid, but basically you're going to meet like-minded people, and you're going to make relationships.
Make love, not war.
Make love, not war.
Yeah.
It's a good reward,
I do want to emphasize, though, it's not all about like-minded people. When I say left, right, or center, I'm serious. If you are in favor of democracy and you're willing to protest for it peacefully, we want your help.
Peacefully.
Yes.
Violence will hurt everyone.
Yes.
It plays into their game perfectly,
Yeah. We are not in a position right now where violence makes sense. It's more likely to just make things worse. It gives Trump an excuse to crack down on your liberties further.
Right.
Yeah. Now, of course, America is built on 1776. We are built on a revolution. Thomas Jefferson, who said a lot of things, some of which are great, some of which are not great, did say, every once in a while, the tree of liberty needs to be fed with blood once in a while.
Watered with the blood of patriots.
Thank you for the exact quote, which was escaping me. But we're not there yet.
No,
hopefully, we can water it with our tears and our cries and with our votes.
What do you say to people who say, well, I don't want to do it because unlike the 60s, we live in a surveillance society now where we don't want to have somebody say to me when I'm looking for a job in 2 years, so you're an activist, you're a protester, because facial recognition. I mean, you can't walk in certain cities like Santa Monica without being surveilled constantly. And they have facial recognition software, of which Amazon, or the parent company, AWS, is a leader in doing. You're up against big-time money and entrenched establishment. You have an entirely new set of issues. What do you tell people who are worried about getting involved?
Well, there's 3 things that matter. The first one is when you are protesting peacefully, there's a lot less risk. Mm-hmm. My name's been out there for years. As someone who's been protesting peacefully, protesting for staunchly progressive causes, and I'm totally fine. If you're protesting peacefully, you have very little to fear from the government, and the other thing you have really to fear at all is some crazy people and the Proud Boys and stuff, and there's not very many of those, and most of them are stuck in their parents' basements, so you don't need to worry about them too much. They're mostly on social media, and they can't hurt you on social media. They can just say mean things, but you can say mean things back. It's how I got suspended on Twitter. I said nothing offensive. I just called someone who was posting about how Jewish people are, it was a legit Nazi. And I told him that his continued existence was disproving the theory of natural selection because he's not the fittest person, Right. And that got me in trouble because it's, Elon and other Twitler youth, as someone called them at our protest.
Twitler's
the
youth.
Twitler youth,
I like
the unelected
youth.
Doge staffers are the ones running that platform right now.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But the second thing is that when it comes to corporations, they bend to where the power is, right? Right now, they're going along with what Trump is saying because Trump's in office.
Yeah.
But under Obama, under Biden, they were doing Pride Month. They were doing rainbow capitalism, which, there's problems with that, but certainly better than what they're doing right now. So if we take our country back, it won't matter because they'll be hiring diversely again. They'll be hiring people who actually got out there and made a difference because that's what's profitable for them.
Do you think there was an overstep when you were growing up in middle school and stuff was gender identity? My daughter gave me 22 different categories. A couple of them were like, well, honey, that's just someone who's not ready to have sex yet. Because, I guess. This whole thing about attacking this minute transgender community is really a tactic to enrage people, to appeal to their inner and intolerant core. Do you think that you have to adjust for that now?
To be honest, in 2022, when the Republicans focused on their attacks against gay and trans people in the midterms, it went really badly for them. Mm-hmm. They barely won those midterms, and they should have won them by a lot, especially because of how unpopular Biden was. It's not a diss on Biden, as domestically he did very well. Foreign policy, not so much. Not good enough to get reelected, but, for the time period, you would expect a red wave. It was a red puddle. The red wave was this time when they were focusing on inflation and on the economy and on immigration, not on trans people.
The other thing that should be a real rallying point for your movement is if these folks are going to rob the lockbox, which is been their goal forever, and suddenly your Social Security net is going to be stolen, essentially, how are you going to deal with this burgeoning wealth class? It's just so out of control. How are you going to take down Citizens United? Because to me, that's the only answer.
Yeah. To be honest, the only way to take down Citizens United is to have a progressive court, a court that will overturn it. That is the only way to permanently solve the problem.
What about a Democratic Congress?
That can do a lot, but with the Supreme Court we have right now, they can just keep striking things down. And unfortunately, our Congress, even a Democratic Congress, has not shown a willingness to ignore blatantly unconstitutional rulings by the Supreme Court.
Money talks.
Yep.
Ethics walk.
Yeah. Clarence Thomas is owned by, monetarily at least, owned by Harlan Crow.
Yeah.
Millions upon millions upon millions of dollars.
Astonishing.
That they're giving to all of Alito, Gorsuch, Kavanaugh, probably Roberts. to be honest, Amy Coney Barrett's been the one that seems like the least ideologically captured.
Surprisingly.
And she was part of a Catholic cult growing up.
Right.
So that makes no sense to me. I don't understand everything. What I do know is that what's going on right now isn't even conservative, right? We talked about Reagan. We talked about how problems started 40 years ago with them.
It's not conservative at all.
But
the party's been usurped.
When you have a president who is pissing on the Constitution, like just absolutely destroying it.
Yep.
The 14th Amendment, he's trying to overturn parts of the 14th Amendment by ending birthright citizenship. He is ignoring the powers of the states by trying to open up a dam, which would have been catastrophic if it kept going. And it was catastrophic already. That's not conservative, right?
That's radical.
Yes. It is reactionary is the term that we like to use.
Yeah.
Here's something that if there's any conservative who's listening to this, which I kind of doubt, but even a centrist, right? Someone who's not quite sure if they're left or right. This is something Reagan said in the 80s. Tell me who this sounds like now, me or Trump. You can go to live in France, but you cannot become a Frenchman. You can go to live in Germany or Turkey or Japan, but you cannot become a German, a Turk, or Japanese. But anyone from any corner of the earth can come to live in America and become an American. That's Reagan on immigration in one of his closing speeches of his presidency. And he said similar things throughout his entire 8-year career. This wasn't new. This wasn't the dementia. This was what he believed the whole time. Because conservatism is supposed to be about defending institutions.
Absolutely right.
And those institutions need reform. Mm-hmm. But it's better to have these institutions than not to have these institutions.
That's right.
If you're conservative, you agree with me that we should have these institutions. If you're progressive or liberal, you agree with me that we need to reform those institutions. None of us agree with Trump, who wants to destroy those institutions to give extra money to the people who already have more than they ever should.
Because the ruling class should be in control of the world.
In the few seconds we have left.
Wait, don't say that.
What's happening coming up?
Yeah. So for our next event, there's big talks about something happening on March 5th, like another national protest. We'll see about that. Mm-hmm. In the short term, we're trying to work with the Women's March, and we're trying to work with the March for Science and Progress. Okay. If you look up those groups, those who you want to find.
Well,
Hunter Dunn.
Hunter Dunn.
With 5051. Thank you. Keep up the good work.
We're done.
We need 1,000, a million of you.
Yeah.
Hey, we'll help you any way we can.
And we'll get
Keep
you
us
back
in
on
touch.
the show again.
Phil and Ted's
See what
Sexy
we're
Boomer
doing.
Show. We're here every Tuesday.
We hope so.
I think so.
Yeah.
Phil?
All right. Ted?
Sexy Boomer Show.
Sexy Boomer Show it is.
All right. We'll see you next week.
Bye, guys.
Keep the fight up.
Oh, yeah. Resist!